This is In the Word, and my name is Dr. Robert McKenzie, and today we want to talk about part 2 of the new commitments for the new year of marriage. I want to start out by saying you have to commit yourself to give up your grudges. Commit yourself to give up your grudges. I want you to listen to these words from the book of Colossians, because in them you'll hear the second challenge I believe God wants us to rise to if you want to make a significant turning point in your life and marriage. Colossians chapter 3 verse 13 says, "Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye." Did you catch that challenge? God, in those words, is challenging us directly and personally to give up our grudges. That is what he means when he says, "Forgive each other whatever quarrels you may have against one another." A grudge is a deep, ongoing resentment that we cultivate in our hearts against someone else. A grudge is an unforgiving spirit that leads to unforgiving attitudes and unforgiving actions. Now, I know you know what I'm talking about. Harboring a grudge is about nursing a dislike for someone. What you need to know is that grudges are dangerous because they are destructive. Grudges destroy marriages. Grudges break up families, and grudges ruin friendships. Let's be honest enough to admit that one of the problems of marriage in general is the grudges that husbands and wives hold against one another. I want to tell you today that if you know you are holding a grudge against your spouse, then God has something to say to you. He says, give it up. I want to remind you that grudges are not just destructive, they are also self-destructive. When you hold a grudge against your spouse, you will hurt yourself as much as perhaps more than you will hurt the person you are holding it against. Make no mistake about it. If you keep harboring grudges in your marriage, then it will eventually destroy you. If not physically, certainly emotionally and spiritually. It will make you a bitter and twisted person. The book of Job in chapter 21 describes people who have no happiness at all. They live and die with bitter hearts. Do you really want that to be the way you are remembered? Do you remember that parable that James and Jesus told about the servant who was forgiving a huge debt by the king and then refused to forgive someone else a tiny amount? Jesus said his unforgiving spirit landed him in prison. The great author Max Lucado makes this interesting comment in one of his books. He says, unforgiving servants always end up in prisons of anger, prisons of guilt, and prisons of depression. I am certain that some of us need to ask forgiveness for harsh words and cutting remarks that have really wounded our spouses over the years. Maybe God is saying to some of you that this change of year is the right time to restore the relationships you have ruined by going and sincerely saying to that person that you are sorry for those angry words and those selfish and unthoughtful actions. Make no mistake, it will be hard to do, but one of the most significant things that you can do and make a mark in this new year is not to set off a firework, but to admit your past errors and relationships and humbly seek forgiveness from the one you have hurt. Will you rise to that challenge and make a commitment commitment to restore your broken relationships in this new year. You have been listening to In the Word, and my name is Dr. Robert McKenzie. In the Word is a ministry of First Progressive Baptist Church of Lubbock, where Deshaun Avery is the pastor. Our executive producer is Tyler Wright. If you are watching this podcast on YouTube, please subscribe and press the bell for future updates. Thank you, and may God bless you, is our prayer. This is Dr. Robert McKenzie from In the Word podcast. We want you to know that every time you support our podcast through our Cash App, all of the money goes straight to supporting the In the Word ministries. The sales from my book all go to support the ministry of In the Word podcast. Thank you, and God bless you.